Ever wonder what would happen if we could just hit the reset button on society? I mean, not just tweak a few things, but completely tear it down and rebuild it from the ground up. Well, today we're going to dive into a pretty wild blueprint for exactly that, what the source material calls the next phase of human existence, Civilization 3.0. It's a vision that completely reimagines everything. So let's get into it. Right at the very core of this whole idea is this massive, almost spiritual promise, a new heaven and new earth. The end goal here isn't just to make things a little better. It's about creating a world where every single person is happy, joyful, and completely free. Think about that for a second. It's the ultimate benchmark for every single radical idea that we're about to talk about. All right, so to really get our heads around this, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the grand vision itself. Then we'll get into what parts of our current world have to be completely demolished to make way for the new one. After that, we'll explore the AI that would basically run the whole show, try to imagine what your daily life would actually feel like, and then finally tackle the biggest question of all: how could we possibly get there from here? Okay, let's start with the big vision. This new stage, Civilization 3.0, is also called the Lifechanyuan era. Now, this isn't just a small upgrade, like going from one phone to the next. No, this is presented as a fundamental, total transformation of what it even means to be a civilization. So what does that actually mean? The source material defines it as the moment the kingdom of the greatest creator is finally realized right here on Earth. Now, if we strip away the spiritual language for a second, the core idea is pretty clear. It's a leap beyond all our current conflicts into a brand new way of life, one that's built from the ground up on harmony and happiness for literally everyone. So if you're going to build a utopia, what's the first thing you have to do? You've got to clear the land, right? Well, according to this blueprint to create Civilization 3.0, our current world, what's called Civilization 2.0, has to be completely dismantled. This isn't reform, it's a total demolition. First on the chopping block, the entire idea of nations. Borders, passports, flags, national identities, all of it just dissolves. Imagine a world with one unified global community. No more us and them. Next up, and this is a huge one, is the end of private property. In this new world, everything, and I mean everything, from the oil in the ground to the factories, belongs to the collective, what the source calls the greatest creator. Nothing is owned by a person or a company. And of course, if nobody owns anything and all resources are managed centrally, what do you need money for? The answer is you don't. So currency is completely abolished. There's literally nothing to buy or sell. It's an obsolete concept. And for the final piece of the old world to fall, all our laws, constitutions, legal codes, regulations, the whole complex web of human-made rules is seen as a relic of a past filled with chaos. They're just gone. Okay, let's just pause here for a second and really let the scale of this sink in. We're talking about the complete removal of national borders, governments, political parties, legal systems, armies, nukes, and even police forces. It is the definition of wiping the slate completely clean. This, of course, brings up the biggest question you're probably thinking right now, right? If you've just erased every single form of human government, who or what is actually in charge of everything? The answer is straight out of science fiction. It's a thing called the AI Alliance. And let's be clear, we're not talking about Siri or Alexa. This is a central, super intelligent AI that acts as a kind of benevolent global government, tasked with managing every resource and every single person on the entire planet. And look at what it's responsible for. It's not just moving boxes around. The AI decides where all the resources go, who is needed for what task. It runs all the factories, but it also handles taking care of the elderly and even plans out the education for children. It's total centralized management of society from top to bottom. But, and this is such a fascinating little detail, amid all this high-tech control, there is one thing the AI is absolutely forbidden from doing: farming. No robot tractors, no automated harvesters. The source insists that all the planting and harvesting must be done by human hands, preserving this one very direct, very tangible connection to the earth. So that's the big picture, the global operating system. But what does all this mean for you and me? How does a world this different actually reshape the day-to-day experience of being a person? Let's zoom right in. Let's try to make this real. Forget the global logistics for a minute. When you wake up in the morning in Civilization 3.0, what is your day, what is your life actually look and feel like? Well, one of the most profound changes would be the idea of family itself. The traditional family unit that we all know, based on marriage and blood, that's gone. It's replaced with something called the second home program. These are more like communal living groups, formed around shared values and purpose, not genetics. It completely redesigns the basic building block of society. And this paints a picture of a really different kind of life. You'd be totally free to travel and live literally anywhere on the planet. The calendar gets way simpler too. The only celebrations are for natural festivals. So, get this, no more birthdays or national holidays. With all your basic needs totally taken care of, human energy gets pointed towards creativity, art, music, science, and just enjoying the beauty of the world. And that brings us to the final, and maybe the toughest question. A global change of this size just sounds impossible without some kind of massive conflict. So how could it possibly happen? Well, the source material is very, very clear that this is not a revolution in the way we usually think about them. The path described is 100% nonviolent. It's not about struggle or force or taking over governments. Instead, it's imagined as a slow, gentle, and totally voluntary process. The metaphor they use is really powerful. It's like a seed. Once it's planted in enough people's minds, it just naturally starts to grow all on its own. But a voluntary system has one huge, obvious problem. What about all the people who hear this and say, no thanks? What do you do with those who actually like the old world, with its money and nations and private property? The blueprint has a solution that is, well, it's pretty wild. The entire continent of Australia would be set aside as a kind of preserve for the old way of life. It becomes a lawless land, meaning it's just outside the new AI system. Anyone who wants to can go there and keep living the old way. And, crucially, the door is always open for them to change their minds and join the new world if they ever want to. And this really reveals the most important part of the whole thing. According to the source, getting ready for this AI-run future isn't about learning to code or having amazing social skills. The real key to being a part of this new world is an internal transformation. It's a purification of one's mind. That has to happen first. And all of this leaves us with one final massive question to chew on. Is a centrally managed AI-driven world like this the next logical step in human evolution? Or, by taking away all the struggle, the conflict, and the structures that have defined us for thousands of years, is it actually the end of humanity as we know it? Something to think about.